Welcome to the Riskwiser Zone, the podcast where we dive into the world of stocks, finance, and global markets. I'm your host, Lewis, and I'm excited to share today's top stories with you. As we begin this episode, let's take a look at the latest developments in the trade landscape. We've got two major stories that are making waves in the financial world. First, the United States and South Korea have been engaged in intense negotiations over trade tariffs, with the U.S. seeking to impose significant tariffs on Korean goods. Meanwhile, Japan has just secured a trade agreement with the U.S., which includes reduced tariffs of 15% in exchange for supporting a $550 billion fund and committing to strategic purchases. But that's not all. There are also rumors of a potential USU trade deal on the horizon, which could be the next big catalyst for global markets. According to Peter Cardillo, chief market economist at Spartan Capital Securities, this deal could have a significant impact on the market, driving it even higher. Now, let's take a step back and analyze the situation. The U.S. has been using tariffs as a negotiating tool, and it seems to be working. But what does this mean for other countries like India, which is also seeking to negotiate a trade deal with the U.S.? Will they be able to secure a better deal, or will they have to accept the 15% tariff imposition? As we navigate these complex trade negotiations, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and potential outcomes. One thing is certain: the global trade landscape is evolving rapidly, and investors need to stay informed to make smart decisions. We'll be keeping a close eye on these developments and bringing you expert analysis and insights. So, stay tuned for more in-depth discussion and commentary on the world of finance. We'll be right back with more from the world of stocks and finance on the Riskwiser Zone. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone. We're glad you're still with us as we dive into the world of finance and risk management. In this segment, we'll be discussing a couple of interesting stories that caught our attention. First off, let's talk about Jim Rogers' thoughts on the market. The renowned investor recently shared his views on the current state of the economy, expressing caution about the potential risks ahead. He believes that the market is due for a correction and that investors should be prepared for a downturn. While it's impossible to predict with certainty what will happen in the future, Rogers' warnings are certainly worth considering. On a related note, we also came across an interview with legendary investor Jim Rogers, where he shared his thoughts on India's economic prospects. He expressed optimism about the country's growth potential, citing its large and growing population as a major driver of economic expansion. However, he also cautioned that India needs to address its infrastructure and bureaucratic challenges in order to realize its full potential. Moving on, let's take a look at some stock picks from expert analyst Sneha Seth. She recommends going long on Dr. Reddy's, citing the stock's technical support levels and potential for growth. On the other hand, she suggests selling IndusInd Bank due to its range-bound consolidation and potential for follow-up selling. It's worth noting that these are just a few examples of the many different perspectives and opinions out there in the world of finance. As always, it's essential to do your own research and consider multiple sources before making any investment decisions. We'll continue to monitor these developments and bring you updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, we encourage you to stay informed and stay vigilant in your investment endeavors. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on the Riskwiser Zone. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone. We've had an exciting discussion so far, and now it's time to wrap up with a closer look at the latest developments in the market. Today, we're focusing on the insights shared by Raamdeo Agrawal, a renowned expert in the field of finance. According to Agrawal, the current market scenario is quite range-bound, and he expects this trend to continue until the second half of the year. He attributes this to the low earnings growth rate and high valuations, which are causing foreign investors to be cautious about entering the Indian market. However, he remains optimistic about the financial sector, particularly the banking industry, which he believes will drive growth in the coming months. Agrawal also emphasizes the need for higher interest rates and lower petrol-diesel prices to boost consumer spending and stimulate economic growth. He suggests that the authorities should consider cutting petroleum prices to reflect the current crude oil prices, which would provide relief to consumers and increase their purchasing power. It's essential to note that these are Agrawal's views, and investors should always do their own research and consider multiple perspectives before making any investment decision. The market is inherently unpredictable, and it's crucial to be aware of the potential risks and challenges that lie ahead. As we conclude today's episode, we want to remind our listeners to stay informed, stay vigilant, and always prioritize caution when navigating the complex world of finance. Remember, investing is a long-term game, and it's essential to have a well-thought-out strategy in place to achieve your financial goals. That's all for today's Riskwiser Zone. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, invest with caution.